Jackie, welcome to the Love Yourself First show. It's such a pleasure to have you here today. You're a branding expert, so I know you're going to be bringing a good twist to self-love. This being said, I'd love to know how it is that you became a self-love advocate or a self-love expert.
Well, it really just started with my journey. The journey of like when I didn't love myself and 70% of my hair fell out and I had a head to toe rash and just really bad health stuff. And then you go back to work and then I'm like, that's who I am. I've healed
Mm,
myself. And I started seeing the need of just with businesses or coworkers or women or wherever I was at. And then I just automatically just start talking about that journey to encourage women. And it just evolved through my businesses. And now people ask me, hey, can you speak on that? Or, oh, that was so vulnerable. It wasn't anything planned like, oh, my
yeah,
business degree. I was always thinking that.
yeah.
And sometimes out of trauma, you can help other people triumph. And I think that that's just something I'm passionate about for women to
Mm,
grow. And we're
yeah,
the backbone of everything. We rule the
we
world.
are
We rule the
girl
world.
power. Yeah, oh boy, this is going to be a fun energy. It already is fun. Well, I admire how you went and you showed up as you were. And we don't always see that, but when there's somebody that embraces who they are like that and they show up in the world, it gives the others the permission to do the same. So, wow, what a great way to start. Now, I know that you wrote a blog article on the Energy Healing magazine, and the title was Nurturing Self-Care in the Garden of Your Life. I
Yeah.
love the analogy. Can you tell us what it is, the link between the garden and self-love?
Yeah. So, like, people are like, oh, you're a brainiac. I work in holistic brands. I'm a botanist. I have all the herbal stuff. You're like, why is she making this relation? So, a lot of my healing journey was through like natural skincare, me
Mm,
creating products and
yeah,
services. But as I was doing it, I was seeing like direct correlations in my life. Like when I go out there and I see a really nasty piece of dirt, I have
yeah,
to go out there and pull the weeds. I have to
yeah,
pull them. And it's hard. It's hard
yeah.
to pull those things up. But in your life, when you are in a bad situation and you feel nasty about yourself,
Mm,
when you start trying to repair, it is painful. You
it
are
is.
pulling things out of yourself and acknowledging things that really aren't really nice. And then what's
Mm.
left, like in a garden, is like you're kind of like, I'm prepping my ground. It doesn't look nice.
It does not. I am thinking about my grass, as spring comes around and it's not nice. And you say that it's painful. And for, unrooting, the roots can be deep. And also the Bible says, as don't know the terms in English, but sometimes we have to be careful of when we take out the bad roots, because then we could take out some good stuff. So how do we balance weeding out without uh, getting lost, or without bringing down or shredding what is good in us?
Well, and that I think that's like you said about the biblical reference of that. I mean, I am really secure in who I am and who
Yeah,
God says I am.
amen. Yeah.
So when I pulled things out that were
Mm,
painful, I
yeah.
knew I had to fill it in with the goodness of God.
Yeah.
So we can't just pull things out and say, "Oh, I think I got it. I can figure it out." You're broken. We have to
Yeah.
acknowledge that we're broken. So it
Yeah.
has to be filled with goodness and
Mm.
love and joy and peace and all of those things. And you have to acknowledge I don't have those things. That's why
No.
this is painful. So I have to find resources, blogs, materials, encouragers, studies, whatever people are reaching for. You have
Yeah.
to fill the space
Yeah.
because when you pull something out, there's a hole.
There is.
And it needs to
It,
be.
it does. It does, because uh the universe does not like void. So it's going to be filled. So better fill it ourselves than get it filled in another way. Now, on a daily basis, as somebody is rooting out what's more painful or the past trauma, how would they fill up that space?
I read devotionals, I read books, I listen to music. I think that's usually the
Mm.
quickest way to fill a void is if
Yeah.
I'm feeling like, oh man, I just need some energy. I put on upbeat music because
Yeah.
it fills that space. Like, okay, I'm moving, I'm grooving.
Yeah.
I call friends that are going to be encouragers. I talk
Yes.
a lot about dream killers. I don't talk to dream killers, and I'm not going to become
Ah,
a dream
okay.
killer. So I
Yeah.
talk to people strategically. I'm like, hey, I'm having a bad day. I'm going to call so and so because I know they're going to motivate me. And if they're
Yeah.
not available, I'm going to find a song or something to read to fill that space. And then I have my self care routine, which I
Okay.
think helps me love myself and just kind of mentally and physically. Um, but again, we have to fill those spaces with
Yeah.
something positive, or something negative will refill those spaces.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And I would love to know about your self-love routine if you're willing to share. But
Yeah. Okay.
before that, I have another question for you. So you were talking about when there was a void, you just kept going resources after resources until you found one that filled that space. So I wanted to emphasize that point because that's so
Oh, yeah.
important. And the other point that you mentioned, again, before your self-love routine, and once you've answered this question, you could just jump with the self-love routine. Uh, I'm sure our viewers would like to know how to deal with those dream killers.
Mm.
That does affect us, or it can uh, affect us. So how do we deal with those people?
Best method is you gotta not just, oh, I'm just gonna boot them out of my life and be negative.
Yeah.
That is not the way. You do have to articulate that there's a level of hurt, and you do have to
Yeah.
tell that to them. You have to
Okay.
give people an opportunity to
Yeah.
redeem themselves.
I love it. Yeah.
And I say that because on the flip reverse, you want someone doing that for you.
Yes.
So
Totally.
if someone's hurtful and they're always killing your dreams or saying that's not going to work, or you're ugly, or you're not worthy, or
Yeah.
whatever that is, we have to acknowledge that when people say that stuff to us, that's out of their level of
It
brokenness and
is.
their
Yeah.
level of insecurity. So then when you
Mm.
say, hey, I know you're not probably meaning this, but every time you say that, that's really hurtful. Like, I'm really trying to work on that. Uh,
Yeah.
and they may turn around and be like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Or they
Yeah.
may turn around and be like, oh, I don't care. You're just trying to gaslight me. Like
Oh my gosh,
they
that
may,
happened to me.
you know,
Yeah.
right. So, but you have to be ready for that response. If
Yeah.
it's positive, you take that in and put that in
Yes.
your garden. If it's negative, you start putting up boundaries. I'm not going to
Yes.
call that person, and I'm not going to put that person in my inner circle. Now they're
Hmm.
in my medium and outer circle. Put people where they belong so you don't
Yeah.
keep putting yourself in hurt.
Mm.
And I learned that just with my self-care routine. I don't let even my children, I have two kids, young
Yeah.
children, 5 and almost 10 now.
Yeah.
I don't let my fiance into that space, because I know if I don't do, when I wake up in the morning and turn on my music, it puts a smile on my face. And when I wash my face, I look at myself and I say positive
Amen. Yes, I love that.
interaction. And I may do a Bible devotional. And even if I don't, I may just play a song again and pray. And then the night is really my biggest part of my self routine, which is not what most people say. Is I take a bath at just about an hour every single night. Sounds,
Yes, I do that too. I love that.
but people think it's kind of, but I do it as I am scrubbing off all of the what I did that
Mm.
day, all
Yeah.
the work. I reflect on the things that I accomplished, and
Mm.
anything that's negative, I rinse it all off and I watch the water go down the drain, because all that
Oh,
negativity, I actually visualize all of that stuff that
wow.
didn't serve me is gone. Then I hop
Mm.
out of the bath and I put oils and whatever lotion I'm going to put on.
Yeah.
I put back on what I want to take on for the night.
Wow.
So it's very much visual. This is what I did that
Wow.
day. This no
Yeah.
longer serves me. I'm putting on what I want to, relax me for the day so I can
Yeah.
wake up the next day and refreshed. And it's worked for me years. My kids do it. So this is what we're going to do, till the end of days.
I got you. Wow, that is an amazing trick. I love it. I must admit that when I go in the bath, I do reflect and I relax. And I'm a strong believer in the power of visualization. That's me, French speaking, trying to say that long word, that powerful.
You said it's more beautiful than we do. I love it.
So I know that power, and I will certainly include what you said, apply what you said in my routine. It's a great representation, and that's one of your superpowers, to be able to put images on words and concepts. I love it. Can you tell us a bit about the Wildling Botanical and what, how that relates to self-love? And on that article, it was with the Cherry Creek fashion scene. So we see you all looking good. Like, is there a link between the looking good, fashion, and self-love? I know there's a lot of questions in there, but I want to know all of it.
Well, there's a lot of questions. So I created Wildling Botanicals. That started when like I said, 70% of my hair fell out, head to toe rash. I worked in pharmaceutical industry then.
Okay,
so I thought I knew everything. I was like, I can go get this. I can go to the dermatologist, get the prescriptions. None of that stuff worked. And I started making and formulating my own things, learning about plants I never learned about. Wow. I even changed my degree to start encompassing like my self-healing journey. So I could.
Can you repeat what you said about your degree? I'm not sure I heard that.
So my degree, it was administrative leadership.
Okay.
And I was general. So I was like, okay. But then there was areas of concentration I could take. So to get a bunch of minors. So I added research and quality initiatives. So I started researching stuff about plants. So I added that as a minor. Quality initiatives to see if things are safe, clean, and used. I added some analytical stuff. So I have a major and then several minor degrees.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I love that.
6 of them. I got really smart. So not saying that's for everyone, but I'm just saying all of that changing with my degrees and learning about plants and like learning how to really tap into some just medicinal things that we don't realize. Lavender is one of them, lemongrass, citrus. So Wildling Botanicals is basically the embodiment so I can give to other women about my self-healing journey. These are lavender was the thing that healed my skin. I was drinking lavender tea. I was doing lavender lemonade. I was putting lavender on some of my foods. I mean, and it healed me from the inside out. So when people see Wildling Botanicals, I'm like, that really is like my spirit and my loving myself, pouring it into a bottle and giving it to someone else. So that's what Wildling Botanicals is. So when you see it on that fashion magazine, like the Calendula and all of the other things I've learned, people were just like, but your skin always looks like that and you don't wear makeup, and how do you do that?
Yeah, your skin, I've been wanting to, you gotta pause just a bit for me to say your skin looks amazing.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It doesn't always look this way, but that, winter. So it looks a little, but I just learned about like calendula, lightening and brightening the skin. But I think the best part of self-care is even when you feel cruddy about yourself, is to smile. A laugh, a smile, a chuckle, it uplifts your spirit and people react more. So if you look at that article and about being in the garden of life or looking at the self-care, that's what Wildling is. All of my brands encompass like loving ourselves and giving ourselves the permission to grow in a positive way.
Oh, I love that. That's so important to get that permission. Sometimes as women, we don't allow ourselves. Actually, we don't need the permission. But for someone who feels they need to have the permission, what would you tell them so they get to that point and they actually start loving themselves?
Yeah, it's like, don't take on other people's brokenness and put that as your mantra in your mind. We've all went through things. We've all had horrible things happen to us. People don't always treat us well. But if we dwell on that, we'll never become the woman we were created to be.
That's right.
And we can pass it on to our children, our friends, our spouses, and everything else. So when you're dealing with that, you need to realize when you're telling yourself that person treated me that way, that is that person's problem. It is no longer mine.
Indeed.
And I'm not going to let someone hold me captive to their insecurities,
Yeah.
their negativity, and I do say that people are like, that's very accusing. I'm like, but it's not mine. I'm not
That's
owning
not
that
exactly.
negativity. I'm
Mm,
on this path. And I write things like that in my journal. I'm a firm believer in journaling. It's
yeah.
like, this is what I'm working on. This is
Yeah.
what I can control, but I
Yes,
can't control them.
exactly.
And so I do, and I know that's not a traditional method, but identifying where negativity and discouragement is coming from
Okay.
helps you do a self-love journey, because you're
Mm,
like, is it me? Is that my thought? Or did someone sow that seed of thought?
yeah. Yeah, you do talk about that seed in
Yes,
your
there's
article.
people are sowing seeds, positive or negative, right?
Yeah. Now you're talking about those people and your how they relate to you, and when you ask yourself, do I want this in my life, or not? And I find it's interesting how you bring it with your self, with your journaling and your reflection. So, uh, how can you, or how, which advice would you give to our viewers that have difficulty identifying if what they're um, feeling, or if the triggers are from within or from the outside?
Well, in the journaling, you start seeing patterns when you're really honestly journaling.
Mm,
This happened today. And then you have to go back and reflect on what you wrote. So don't just
mm,
write it and keep writing and writing.
yeah,
Go back, at the end of the month or every 3 months and look and be like, is there a pattern here? Is it when
yeah,
I'm talking to this person? Is it when
yeah,
this stressful thing happens at work? Or is it when my kids say this? Or
yeah,
is it me always thinking these things? And,
mm,
you can start seeing patterns.
yeah,
And if you can't, go to someone that can help you with that.
yeah,
Get a resource. Be like, I've been journaling and I just can't find it. I don't know.
yeah,
And I think that like, and that could be someone that is in your circle. You can have a counselor. You may have
mm,
someone, a family member.
mm,
You may have a sister, brother. I don't know. But if you're not capable of doing it, it is okay to find a resource, paid or unpaid, to help
mm.
you find the things. I've learned that with me. I'm the common denominator everywhere I go. So the way
Okay.
I respond, I can only control me. But
Yeah.
it took me a while. At first, I was like, it's all them. And then some of it was like, maybe some of that's me. Oops.
Yeah. I've also come to that point where I accept it's me. It's like I love technology. But
We all do to an extent. We all do.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And as it was to a point where when something didn't work with my computer, I thought it was something wrong with my computer. It was the programming. And then as I started taking responsibility for stuff, one day I said, "Oh, it's not my computer. It's me. I erased all my cookies yesterday." And that was big for me. That was big. And I said that to my husband, and wow, that was something else. But I appreciate how you bring it back to the common denominator
Mhm.
that we are. And I'd like to know a bit more about how it is that um, you show up. You're the only person that you can control. How it is that you show up in those situations that are a bit more difficult, especially when you're shifting and starting to uh, set your limits.
Yeah, and I'm very passionate. See, I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
No, I think I like when something is difficult for me, I really start listening more.
Okay.
Um, I can't, because for me, I'm a talker. I can over talk and overshadow that. I
Yeah.
think when I start having interactions with people or in places, I start looking. I need to start be quiet and like listen more. And
Mm,
usually the person that I can tell, I'm like, oh, they're not really mad at me. Something
mm.
happened before they got here.
Oh, I
Um,
get it. Yeah.
or, and people go to work. You work with difficult people. You
Yeah.
take difficult contracts, you take
Yeah.
difficult clients, and then you can start seeing signs of hurt. While you're healing, you'll start seeing, oh, they're hurt. Someone
Mm,
treated them that way.
yeah.
Um, and that does take a level of discernment and stuff. But I will say every time I show up to a difficult situation,
Yeah.
you have to listen more than you talk.
Totally. And I appreciate how you brought in compassion for others, and also self-compassion. And I know we're gonna have to wrap up soon, but I would add one question before I see if you have anything to add. And I know you have a gift. I'm looking forward to knowing about it. But self-compassion, what I've seen is that it can be tough, like in rehab. The patients, they would come back and they would have started using again. What's your thought on self-compassion, or your thoughts rather?
Well, and my thing is I have put more emphasis on it because I have not always been the woman people see. I used to be the bitter, angry, loud, rude, malicious, and I'm using all these. I am a different person than I was even 5 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
So if some people wouldn't have gave me compassion or me forgiveness, I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk to you. If people held me captive to who I used to be, I couldn't be here being who I desire to be and growing who I desire to be. So there's that both sides. I do what I want to receive.
Of course.
And I think it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, oh,
honest fact.
I just need to tell her. I've learned that I want forgiveness. I want someone to show me empathy. And then even one step further as a mom, I want someone to give my children compassion. I want people to give my children empathy. And we live in a different world. So I'm teaching my kids to emanate that everywhere they go. But I really pray that people would treat my children that way as well. So maybe that's a higher level than what you're expecting. But it's just, I'm a mom, and my kids are my heart. And
they are.
When I'm like, if I can show my kids how to be better and duplicate myself and duplicate that, I feel that it's important.
It is. So your children are so blessed to have you as a mom, and the better version of you. They get to see you grow, right? And be kinder, nicer, more compassionate. And I did want to know also, so you did mention you were talking about compassion towards others. For you, is it more difficult to have compassion for others or for yourself? And that would be my real last question.
Well, I think for myself, because as you can see, I'm really inward reflecting and finding symbolism. So I think when I get so inward, I'm like, I got to change me. I got to change me. I got to change me. And then I'm like, Jackie, you're human too.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have, emotions. You're allowed. But then that's that mantra I start saying, it's okay. Like it's okay. And sometimes I just say that it is okay. And you're going to mess up, because I think as women get very we have to be perfect all the time.
Overwhelmed. Yeah, pressure. Yeah.
So I think the outward part comes naturally. The inward thing, especially in times of stress, I think that is where anybody starts feeling like, oh man, it's me. Yeah. And in your journaling, when you see that pattern, be like, am I stressed? Is there a trigger? Because we shouldn't be so down on ourselves all the time. Let's enjoy life. Enjoy life. It's supposed to be fun.
Should. Yeah, it's supposed to be fun, easy, simple. Oh boy. And you've spoken many times about journaling, and this is certainly a keeper way that I myself, it's an encouragement. I'm sure it is also for viewers. And I know that to continue the conversation, you do have a gift to share with the viewers. And before you do so, what else would you like to add today?
I just want to tell people that, remember, self-care is like the new healthcare. If we can really take care of ourselves inwardly, it'll come outwardly and it'll affect everything around us. Don't neglect yourself. Don't put yourself on the back burner to the point that you don't know who you are. And if you are at that point, find a resource. May it be someone that you trust. Find a resource and really tap into that healing, because it'll be worth it at the end.
It will. It will. You are the resource inspirational woman. And for people who want to continue the discussion with you, that want to get that energy, how or what gift do you have to offer today?
Well, you brought up Wildling Botanicals, so anybody that wants that free gift, and I don't know how you're doing the gift part, but I will ship some of my facial serum that I use every day.
Oh,
I'll ship it to any place in the world. If I got an ad,
wow.
I'll ship it, and that's just a little bit of my spirit to you to uplift you.
That is so generous. I've got the tingles everywhere. I want some for sure. I want
Oh,
to.
I'll send you some, girl. I got
Thank
you. I
you.
got
Thank
you.
you. I want to experiment it, smell it, and I want to have a beautiful glow, beautiful skin as you do. Oh, Jackie, it was a blessing. It was fun. I appreciate your energy and your wisdom, all that self-love journey that you've went through, not through, but it's a good thing going through that I'm
Oh
saying
yeah.
here. It's inspiring. And definitively, you are a leader in the sense that you do it, it brings out the best in you, and you just invite us to follow your lead. Uh, Thank you so much. It was an honor, Jackie Johnson, interviewing you today. And I encourage you viewers to reach out to our generous Jackie.